So in this next video, we're going to look at the process of renewals for Comquote policies, and we're going to look at the process for rebroking them. Just to clarify, this is the process assuming you're not using the Comquote full cycle renewal system that is currently available in Relay 360. So this is the kind of manual process that most brokers would follow currently. We do have Comquote full cycle renewals available for Rightway and Petrona. So if you use those particular insurers or you use the full cycle system, please refer to that particular video. So this is just for manual Comquote renewals. So the first step is just to look up your client. So again, put in your client code or use name or address or whatever. And it'll bring you directly into the client's file if you're using the client code. So you can see here we're dealing with a client called Paul Spollen. He has a commercial motor policy and it's up for renewal on the 15th of January of 2017. And the status is currently new business. So I can actually tell straight away from looking at this that Paul has just been with us about 1 year, because new business is the status you'll get in the first year of business. So in terms of what to do next, so what I would do is, the first thing I do is actually just rebroke it. So to see what alternative quotes we're getting. So he is currently with AXA. So you would have an offer from AXA for the subsequent year or the next year. So what you do is rebroke. So to rebroke the policy, just right click and select risk details. So this should bring you directly into his Comquote file with all of his details. Now, you might have to update some details in terms of the inception, just to make sure you have a look at it, make sure it's correct. So the inception date should be right. The rest of the information should be okay, like it would spill over from last year. But again, he might be making some changes. He might be changing the car. He might be adding on a driver or something like that. So make sure the information is 100% right. Once you have checked and made any changes, then click calculate. And essentially what we're doing here is we're just rebroking. So we've rebroked it, and you can see in the bottom here that we have our prices. So again, we can just have a note and write down if there is a cheaper price or not. So, you know, in this particular example, let's say that there is an alternative that we want to offer here. So just as an example, so we'll say it was with Kenco, and I'm just going to just save that. So that's it. You save it, file, exit, and save. So that's all we've done. We just basically checked what are the prices for the forthcoming year. And I'm just going to in this example, assume that there is a cheaper price with Kenco. So what I would do next is I would post a provisional renewal. So if I right click and I will select post premium, and the system defaults to provisional. Most brokers would use provisional, but if you did want to use a confirmed renewal, that is the option there. So provisional, and we'll say it's 1100 with €50 fee with AXA. So that's basically the renewal terms. And that's it. So it's changed the status to renewal offered, and the total renewal including our fee is $11.50. Now we rebroked it and we want to offer Kenco, and we'll say we'll offer it at 900 plus a €50 fee. So how do we actually do that? Well, if you actually just double click on the policy line and so you're into policy details, click on the text tab and select your insurer here. So Kenco, and put in their premium. Just their premium. There's no need to put in the fee, that will be pulled in automatically. This is assuming, of course, you're using relay letters. So relay letters have merge codes and if statements built into them that will pull in the alternatives. So just to clarify, the process that I'm following here is only going to be applicable if you're actually using relay letters. So Kenco 900, press OK. And that's just basically stored the renewal offer on the policy line. And now what we can do is we can click the invoice button and select our relevant premium. So you can see here it's the turtle, and press OK. Make sure it's always at policy level and press OK. So essentially the system is going to generate a letter, and in addition to the letter, in addition to offering the current renewal offer with AXA at 11.50. You can see here as well, because of with the if statement that's built into it, it actually has pulled in the alternative with Comquote. Okay, so again, this is only applicable if you're actually using relay letters. You might be using your own letters at the moment, so that's not going to be applicable. So what we're going to assume now is that the renewal invite has gone out to Paul, and he has contacted us to say yes, he's received it, and he actually wants to go ahead with the cheaper alternative with Comquote. Okay, if he was going ahead with the current provider AXA, all we would have to actually do here is just receipt the money. Just click cash and put in your 11.50 and automatic or allocate, and that's press OK. What it'll do there is just change the status to renewal. So that's the straightforward scenario in terms of he's just going ahead with the current provider. But as I said, in this case, we're going to assume that he wants to swap over. So this is actually a lapse for transfer process that would be used for any manual policy. Just select the current policy line, right click and select copy policy. Now what I'm doing here is I'm creating a second line on the system, which will represent the new policy with Comquote. So it's extremely important I don't override the current line with AXA, okay? Because what you're doing here has a knock-on effect to the business reports within our system. So if you override a policy line, you're basically eradicating the process that has taken place, or something that was on the policy previously. Okay, so you do not override a policy line. So I do not just double click on this line here and change the insurer to Comquote. That would be incorrect. So what I did was right click and select copy policy, and copy policy makes a carbon copy of the policy, and it brings down all the risk details. Okay, you can see the status is automatically renewal transfer, so the system is designed to give you that status if you use copy policy. Of course, there's currently a renewal offer there of 11.50 that we have to deal with. So to deal with that, just select the current policy line, right click and select post premium. The system will automatically give you a lapse for transfer option, and it'll pull in the figures. So all you literally have to do is just press OK, and the system will change the status to lapse for transfer, and it's taken down the debit. So that's crucial. So lapse for transfer, and the total due is now back to 0. So that's great. Now we select the new line, right click and risk details. So at this point, guys, you just basically follow the normal going on cover process that you would normally follow in Comquote. So select calculate, double click on the Comquote policy and proceed as normal. Now, once you've actually processed the new policy with Comquote and you've printed off your documentation, you'll be back to your home page. So one thing you need to do is with Comquote is you need to deal with the premium postings manually. So you can see here the policy still says renewal transfer. So what I have to do is I have to post a transfer premium against it. So if I right click and select post premium, the transfer option comes up automatically. I'm just going to put in just a fake number here to represent the Comquote policy. So I'm just filling in all the details. And gross premium is 900. I'll say the commission is 10 and €50 fee. And that's it. Press OK. And that will post a transfer premium. And the status is changed to renewal. And the total due is 950. Assuming Paul wants to pay us, so say he's paid us whatever, check or cash, right click, post cash, put in your 950. And again, the system will always highlight the current debit that's sitting on the file. So you just double click on it, press OK, and then if you want you can print off a cash receipt, but if you don't you can just say no, and the system stores the cash receipts in the documents tab anyway. So the total due is now back to 0, and the statuses of the two policies are now correct. So the AXA policy is lapse for transfer, and the Comquote is now renewal. So that concludes the process for Comquote Rebroke.